Good afternoon, morning, or night. This is my contemporary business leader presentation. I am William Schoenfeld, in the CCOB, and I'm Professor OK. So this is the overview. It basically lists off every single topic we're going to hit in this presentation, anything from the leader description all the way to the application of leader theory. We are really just going to dive deep into the leader that we're going over, and that is Rick Schoenfeld. He is the CFO of a franchising company, DKPM Investments Corporation. He has been there for 15 years. That is since 2010. Like I said before, the industry is franchising. This is fast food. He mainly does Jimmy John's, Williamsburg Pizza, Pizza Joint out of New York, Hawaiian Bros, Island Grill, that's Hawaiian barbecue, and then Stories Coffee, a local joint out of Omaha, Nebraska. He is a CPA from the University of Nebraska, and he was an accountant by trade, and he got into franchising on the latter half of his career. And like I said before, his role is the CFO of the company. So as far as the first section, this is the leader's greatest career achievement. And pretty simple for a CFO. It was to provide financial data to other managers within their period structures, and for the franchising, mainly the Jimmy John stores and the pizza joints, they have a 52-week period split up between 13 individual periods. And that's the execution time. They pretty much he's providing, like I said before, financial data, statements to these store managers so that they can get their job done. And yeah, a large strategy he said that he uses is manage from the very bottom. He is serving those who are above him, and that's what his major takeaway was from this. He scored a 30. He scored a 30 on this. Four were always used, and three characters on the right. If you want to look at this chart on the right here, it is the characteristics from 1 to 5. You know, the scorecard, the score charting. He scored 30, and that's a moderate. And he said the impact that he was making is to eliminate change, eliminate the costs, and create a baseline for the costs. That was his main takeaway. Now we've got handling a challenge. So the main challenge of Rick Schoenfeld's career was trying to build a financial portfolio from the prior and past periods to help the stores be more effective. Basically, like I said before, he was working in the same exact periods, and he is collecting this data and information using accounting, using his managerial skills, communication. He has to ask multiple different departments, the executives, all this information, has to gather it and then produce it and send it out, able to help his customers and his employees that he manages. And like I said before, the outcome, it's greater revenue within these fast food joints. He utilized servant leadership very much so. He got a 33 on the Likert scale this time when handling the challenge based on these characteristics. Again, moderate range, pretty much I'd say aligned with management skills, not as much as leadership, kind of taking the role of really getting stuff done, and not so much of a spirited motivator, more of a manager, as some would say. And then, as you can see, the chart is on the right here. So power basis, and impact of behavior. So the two or three that I chose, first would be expert power. Now the fact that he's an accountant in the CFO of the company, this is just major. Obviously, he is very, very well versed in what he does. He has an expertise as he's been in the field for a long, long time. And this is kind of what it tends to happen when he's communicating and working with other individuals in the office, is power tends to occur. Reward power is something that he also uses while managing, and that is pretty much just the financial success that comes along when these stores produce more gross net profit, and that is as simple as it gets. Success equals money, and that's how it is in the franchising industry. Coercive power, obviously, he uses this to an extent, I would say, because failure isn't necessarily something that you want to motivate on, but sometimes it can be used for sure. I would say next here is the mission, vision, strategy, and the entrepreneurial mindset. So what he said initially in the interview is that at the beginning of this, at the groundwork, they didn't really have a mission, vision, or strategy. Now I know that sounds crazy, but he said that initially came later. He said the largest piece of what was at the foundation of this company was a major entrepreneurial mindset and having that entrepreneurial drive, the innovation to create something, and basically just touched on how they tasted success and they just skyrocketed off of it. And they wanted to open as many stores as they could. And From that, he mentioned that the mission, vision, and strategy came a little bit later when they figured that out. And As far as the Likert skill goes, he scored a 20. Now this is a little bit on the lower end, and that's because on three major ones he scored really highly, and then the other four kind of not so much to equal out at a total score of 20. So, application of leadership theory here. The first one that I chose to go with is House's path goal theory. Now, obviously, here this has a lot to do with the employees, identifying someone with success in a future of success and the rewards that come with success. And this is what I feel Rick did in the office, in his office, kind of set a blueprint, knew where he was going, and he's done it before, so he's capable of leading a team. And I think the people that worked around him realized that, and it kind of went along with House's path goal theory, and they're kind of jumping on the ship and they're rolling with them. And then as far as behavior goes, I would say certainly achievement oriented. This kind of is touching on the same thing. There's just a ton of motivation in an industry like this. You want to open new stores. You want to hire new managers, new employment. You want to make sure HR is fully staffed. You want to get it as highly stocked as possible to produce as much outcome as you possibly can. And those are two of the theories and a behavior that I would say directly correlates with Rick and his line of work. Now, for the leadership style comparison, I believe I may have found one of the greatest comparisons that will be in this whole entire class, and that is Ray Kroc. Now, if you haven't watched The Founder, it is a great movie, and it is about the founding of McDonald's and the franchising of McDonald's, and that being done by Ray Kroc. Originally, it was a single store in California. Ray Kroc, he was a salesman for milkshake machines. He went to California and he found this restaurant. He said, "Oh my gosh, it's so fast!" And he duplicated this restaurant all across the country, and that is what birthed franchising. And he is the originator, and he has the pinnacle of success in his industry. And that's why I think this is a great comparison here. Obviously, Rick, he's following in the footsteps, maybe not so extreme, but for the most part, major fast food brands, Jimmy John's, Hawaiian Rose, you name it. And As far as strengths and weaknesses go, this was incomparably to the theories that I chose. Relationship oriented leader for Ray Kroc. This meant that he developed relationships to enhance his employees and his store managers. And the weakness here is that you can be taken advantage of. And I would say the strength is their servant leadership characteristics are very strong in this. And I would say for Ricky, his weaknesses, if the employees don't view you as a successor, as someone who's going to bring you forward into the world in a successful way, I think that could very much backfire and they could very much lose respect for you very quickly. Strengths, this is a style that's proven over and over again, this theory, and that is successful success and a bright future brings success. And I think that's a great motivator for employees. Leadership lessons. This is an interesting one here. So the first one is group oriented decision making. Obviously, this is important in any company aspect, and especially in franchising, just because as a manager, as the CFO of the company, your decision is affecting not just the office of 20, 30 people, it's affecting 50 to 100 stores around the country, and that's why that's important. Value based, obviously, this is the culture, this is the well kept, values, the ethics. This is everything that you do on a daily basis that builds up the company culture over a long period of time, and that's very important. Achievement oriented, again, leads to success. This is if you're not making money, you're not achieving success, and you're failing as a company in the franchising fast food industry. Now this is my reflections. Pretty much just went over. I interviewed my father because it was a little easier to get him opposed to somebody else, and he fit all the criteria. Manager for over a lot amount of years, and in an industry that I could easily compare. Again, Ray Kroc. I chose him because he was at the peak. He was at the peak of franchising, and there's nobody else better to compare my father to than him, and what can be success in that industry. I didn't really have to go in too much depth as far as the terms goes, the characteristics, and servant leadership, solely because my father's fairly well versed. But if you're going to go and watch the interview, I did have to explain some of those things, and I simply used a definition. I found it somewhat difficult to organize the information that was given with the instructions with the assignment, but at the end of the day, we got it through, we worked it all, and it's been good. And I would say this gave me a good idea of how much research and time really needs to go into building and accumulating a presentation like this, and for it to be successful. So yeah, that is the video here. Thank you for watching.